Mark Twain, a renowned author, famously said that fiction is never as strange as truth. It is also never as frightening. If you doubt me, just watch on, and you will discover that many movie monsters that seem to be only products of imagination actually have real-life equivalents in our world. These are the 10 movie monsters that are based on reality. Number 10. Xenomorph. The monster from Alien that results from an evolved chest burster is the gruesome, terrifying Xenomorph. Its real-life counterpart, the Phronima parasite, is just as terrifying and undergoes a similar evolution. It lives in the very deep sea, and like most other oddities that live there, it has a semi-transparent body. It lives in the pelagic zone of the world's oceans and survives mainly by feeding off much bigger kelp, much like baby xenomorphs. It eats its host alive until it hauls out a self's gelatinous shell. If it's a female Phronima, it may then proceed to lay eggs into the cavities, providing an organic home to her young using the scalp's dead carcass. The Phronima's parasitic design and even its way of life is just so similar to that of a chest-bursting xenomorph that the rumor of it inspiring its movie counterpart stays to this day. If you fear that it might attack curious marine biologists, don't Phronimas about as big as the tip of an adult's finger. Besides, they're very much happy to simply settle on their mushroom menu options for now. And if you're not convinced because it isn't transparent, then maybe the xenomorph was inspired by the deep-sea dragonfish. It's another deep-sea creature proving that we should probably be looking to the deep sea to find aliens rather than out in space. Number 9. Gremlin. Before revealing their hideous true forms, the eponymous gremlins are often disguised as pretty furballs, ready for a hut with anyone who gets smitten with their absolute charm. The pygmy Tars isn't exactly as cute or as horrible as a gremlin, but it shares somewhat of a combination of his cute image and real horrifying form native to the Southeast Asian tropical rainforest. It's essentially a hunter. Most tarsiers in general are carnivorous, which is a unique trait among all other primates in the world. This means that hidden within its seemingly harmless and tiny exterior bellies, its fierce predatory instincts. Don't worry though, they're not hungry for other primate flesh, as their diet mainly consists of large insects. Still, witnessing a pygmy Tars on the hunt leaves somewhat of an unsettling impression. It doesn't help that they're nocturnal creatures either, further making the comparison to his movie counterpart even more apparent. Number 8. Goliath Bird Eater. Ordinary spiders themselves already create fear and anxiety. Now imagine the terror of seeing something that is as big as an acromantula from the Harry Potter series. Well, probably not that big, but almost as bad. Meet the Goliath Bird Eater, a native of the Amazon rainforest in South America. These tarantulas are the largest known spiders in the world, growing up to 5 inches long in body length, plus 11 inches longer with its legs. Contrary to what their name suggests, the Goliath bird eater doesn't actually eat birds. Well, not often. At least its diet mostly consists of insects and worms. However, due to its size, it can also eat bigger animals such as certain native amphibians, and has even been witnessed eating a variety of even larger ones, such as rodents, lizards, and snakes, including perhaps an unfortunate bird or two, which it definitely could crunch the life out of with its sheer size. Also, although you may want to straight up burn this critter with fire, you better not agitate one. When threatened Goliath, bird eaters can rub their body to launch their hairs, which can sting and severely irritate the skin. Number 7. Kraken. Seafaring legends tale of tales of gargantuan monsters of the sea. The 18th century Kraken is perhaps one of the more popular ones with its rumored mighty size, able to completely embrace and capsize whole ships. Just like a scene from Pirates of the Caribbean, the real-life version of this legendary creature has to be the colossal squid, which may not actually be able to sink today's ocean-going vessels, but its size still inspires awe and wonder to witnesses of its existence. Another product of the deep oceans, colossal squids can grow as large as twice the average human. All sightings and observed reports of the squid point its natural habitat being around the far lower hemisphere, particularly near the oceans of Antarctica, Due to its elusive nature, very little is known about its life. In fact, it's often only caught and mostly by accident. Though it's never been seen active in its natural habitat, it's thought to be able to propel itself efficiently and quickly underwater, subduing its prey with sheer force and great dexterity. It's also important to note that the colossal squid is different from the giant squid, which is actually significantly smaller, although still several times bigger than what you usually eat at your regular seafood place. Number 6. Monster alien fish. Okay, monster alien fish kind of sounds way too generic, but if you ever come across a sea lamprey, you'd instantly know that it's a creature that's worthy of being the next Hollywood nightmare. The most striking feature of any lamprey is its fang-studded disc-shaped mouth. It's essentially a structure built as a tool that lets it latch and lock onto its host firmly before it's equally horrifying. Fang-laden mouth digs onto its main meal, the blood of its host, like most animals that feed on blood from other animals. The sea lamprey also uses secretions to prevent blood clotting, freely lapping up the victim's life essence, as the poor fishes are completely unable to shake it off. Sea lampreys themselves are native to the western Atlantic Ocean, wreaking havoc to all other larger fish native to the area. They have also since then invaded the marine ecosystem of the 5 Great Lakes of North America starting in the early 19th century. In fact, quite soon, sea lamprey could very well make their way throughout the American continent, finding new waters and new victims to feed upon, and also to occasionally become a traditional delicacy for one unlucky English king to be killed with. Number 5. The Real-Life Hydra. Hydra, one of the legendary 12 labors of Hercules, told the story of the mighty Lurin Hydra. It was a gigantic serpent with multiple heads, all of which capable of simply regrowing back should the would-be slayer attempt to chop them off. Reality surprisingly brings us to something that is also very similar in a much smaller package, also named the Hydra. It's a type of tiny freshwater creature that inhabits the temperate and tropical waters of the world. It's aptly named after the legendary creature for its signature, build a slender, elongated structure with smaller, similar appendages growing out of its one end. Also, like its legendary counterpart, it's also immortal, cutting off any part of it. Simply regrows the detached part, mince it, and then put it back together, and its mass reforms the creature from scratch. Cut it clean in 2, and it will even grow into 2 separate Hydra. Cut off one head, and 2 more shall take its place instead. Hey Hydra! The Hydra is one creature that, along with the Phronemas, I'm very happy is only alive in tiny form. Number 4. Chucky. Monsters don't always have to be biological. Sometimes crazed-possessed living things like Chucky the doll are often more than enough to send us into a sleeplessness for an entire month. Meet Robert the doll, aka Chucky's closest real-life counterpart, originally owned by Robert Eugene Otto. During the early 20th century, it was rumored to have been given to him by a young girl or one of his maids as a voodoo gift reports. However, point to its creation by an old German manufacturing company given to its original owner as a gift from his grandfather. It started its creepy, unsettling history with stories about the owner talking to the doll during his youth. There are also accounts of people hearing weird chattering noises when it's around, and there were even rumors of it mysteriously getting misplaced at various locations more disturbingly. It's even thought to afflict curses, which rumored to eventually claim the life of the owner's wife. Seriously, there are just too many unsettling stories of its dark history that these episodes would make an entire list on their own, but it stands today that the doll is widely believed to be heavily cursed and haunted. As of 2017, Robert the doll quietly sits at the East Martello Museum in Florida, where its empty stare still haunts visitors to this day. Number 3. Dart from Stranger Things. The affectionately named Daran or Dart turns into the Demogorgon and is just one of the otherworldly monsters introduced in Stranger Things. Yes. At this point, the pattern is already obvious. Turns out that there is actually an animal very similar to the demon dog, or at the very least, similar to its earlier stage forms. The Hellbender salamander already gets points for its badass name. But here's where it gets weird. Contrary to its fiery name, it's actually an aquatic creature. Its home is the great wildlife of eastern North America, where it can be found in certain rivers, streams, and aquatic rock formations. These creatures are a freak of evolution. Hellbender salamanders have adapted so much to their home that certain individuals can only fit one specific ecological niche, live in one specific area, and survive in one specific environment at a time. They're essentially habitat specialists. That being said, the Hellbender salamander is actually quite harmless as a creature, and no, you don't need to worry about them eating your cat. Number 2. Monster worm. As we have seen earlier, the deep dark sea sure has a fine bestiary of nightmare fuel oddities just floating around its alien environment. But if you want something that pales in comparison to all others we have previously mentioned, then say hello to the bobbit worm, the real-life version of the Mongolian deathworm, or Exor and Sarla from Star Wars. Despite its rather tame and quite uninteresting name, bobbit worms are predatory creatures that inhabit the ocean floor of the world's warmer regions. No specific areas, it just needs ocean, water, and a nice seed that's warm enough for it to thrive when not hungry, or it's just preparing for its next meal. It appears as an unsuspecting coral, or even an anemone, but once a living creature goes near enough, bam, it literally disappears quickly, grabbed by the sarlacc. Bobbit worms' now nightmare-inducing form as it seems. These monsters of the deep feed on just about anything that moves: small fry, shelled, crustaceans, poisonous fishes, you name it. Even the smarter creatures like octopus are no match. Once it goes for the ambush hunt, it doesn't help that these 1 to 3 meter monstrosities keep themselves buried under the ocean floor, so you never really see the full enormity of its horror. Before I reveal the most outrageous example in this list, I'd like to remind you to subscribe. We upload amazing fact-filled videos every day, so don't miss out on learning some amazing new information. Also hit that bell icon for notifications on more amazing fact-filled videos. Number 1. Face hugger. This creature is the life form occurring in the second stage of the Xenomorph's life cycle. Its real-life counterpart is the almost mythical giant sea spiders of the far, far south Antarctic, as its name implies. These creatures are native to the southernmost part of the world. One particular 10-inch long specimen found somewhere along the Ross Sea shelf bears a form almost alien in appearance even among its related species. Quite oddly, online articles that feature these Antarctic wonders are sometimes introduced with a fake photo of a face hugger prop. The real one does seem very extraterrestrial, however. As for its gargantuan size, the most common explanation is that high levels of oxygen in the Antarctic seawater influenced its growth, very much like the same giant insects that ruled the Earth sometime during the oxygen-rich Carboniferous period. In addition, it also helped that the harsh cold climate led to very few predators controlling their numbers. Thus, this nightmare of the Antarctic thrives in large numbers to this day. Which creature gave you the mad heebie-jeebies? And what other iconic and popular movie monsters do you think have real-life counterparts even scarier than the fictional versions? Tell me in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.